Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, that didn't last too long now, did it, huh? The whole sanctuary city thing has come to a complete crashing end. New York is at the brink of total collapse. They are giving up. All of a sudden, it's time to switch it up a little bit, you know? When Donald Trump and Republicans mention basic common sense rhetoric, suggesting that what we're currently doing is unsustainable, makes no sense, that people should be deported, they called Donald Trump and all of his supporters, all Republicans, racist. They called you terrible bigots. They called you anti-immigrant. Well, now that we're basically hearing the exact same thing coming out of Democrat mouths in New York City, I'm gonna keep playing this clip over and over and over again where Eric Adams said this.
The city is being destroyed by the migrant crisis.
Now that that's the tune that Democrats are singing, well, we gotta switch it up now, don't we? I guess now the Democrats are the racist bigots and anti-immigrant horrible fascists. Right? I mean, that has to be the standard. That seems to be the only fair standard. We gotta talk about Democrat hypocrisy, obviously on the issue of immigration, as Kathy Hochul now joins the fray, or Kathy Hochul, still not sure, I've heard her name pronounced in both ways. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so New York is in full-on panic mode. There's the Eric Adams clip that I played recently, then there's this. New York Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul making her terrible racist remarks.
We have to let the word out that when you come to New York, we're not going to have more hotel rooms. We don't have capacity. So we have to also message properly that we're at our limit. If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else. But the smarter thing is to apply for asylum before you leave your country.
Now they finally realize, huh? Now when actually faced with the crisis, all of a sudden we can finally get to a basic point of facts. That yeah, this whole thing is clearly unsustainable. She says we're out of hotel rooms. Well, you know what? I was just in New York City, 3 or 4 days ago? I rented an Airbnb. Well, I booked the Airbnb months ago, and I got a message on my phone that New York legislation drops or goes into effect in September, essentially regulating Airbnb in New York City, and I think a good chunk of the Airbnbs are now going to be deemed illegal, something hotel lobbyists have been working a long time for in the city. Well, what do you think that's going to do? Thousands of Airbnbs are shutting down, and those units are most likely going to then be rented to tenants in a long-term basis, meaning tourists have no other choice but to go into hotels. Meaning hotel vacancies are now going to probably be at an all-time low, or at least at a recent low. And whereas New York government housing these illegal migrants in hotels, they're in a really tough space. And it's impossible to feel bad for them because they did it to themselves. There's actually a reason why migrants are requesting to go to New York City, and that's a misunderstanding that a lot of people have here. A lot of people think that these migrants actually were going straight to Texas, and now Governor Greg Abbott, evil Governor Greg Abbott, is just shoving these people on buses and sending them to New York City. That's not happening. What's actually happening is that these illegal migrants are coming in, declaring asylum. They're claiming that they're refugees, even though they're 99.9% economic migrants. And a good chunk of them, I'd argue even a majority of people illegally crossing the southern border in Texas and in every other border state are actually requesting to go to New York City. That's a real thing. We've covered that before. We've seen on-the-ground journalists go through every single individual crossing the border illegally asking, where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to go? The answer almost every single time, each and every single time, is New York City. We're trying to go to New York City. New York City. And so Governor Greg Abbott is, okay, well, you want to go there? Then go there. Seems pretty common sense to me. But the reason why they're going to New York City, again, comes down to policy. Democrat policy. Not only did New York City declare themselves a sanctuary city, not only are they not cooperating with ICE in regards to deportations, but they also have a right to shelter law.
Some people have said that New York's right, its mandate for shelter, is a draw for people to come here, and they've called on it to either be paused or rescinded. Would you support anything like that?
Yes, I would, because the original premise behind the right to shelter was for homeless men on the streets, people who are experiencing AIDS. Then it was expanded to families. That is the right thing to do. But never was it envisioned that this would be an unlimited, universal right or obligation on the city to have to house literally the entire world.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to be unlimited. Universal right. That's not what we meant. No, that's literally exactly what you meant. In fact, that's literally how the law is written. That anyone in New York City has right to shelter, right to a bed, and that the government must provide said accommodations. Why do you think people want to go to New York City? Well, obviously because it's the Big Apple, it's the economic center of the world, but secondly because they declared themselves a sanctuary city and they'll give you free crap. Oh, I wonder why we have this problem. No, it's finally catching up to you. You're actually getting exactly what you paid for. It's kind of weird. You know, it's like New York City's a person who walked up to a big, strong individual on the street and said, I will pay you $50 if you punch me in the face. The guy goes, okay, accepts the $50, punches New York in the face, and then New York's calling the police and panicking and wondering what the hell happened. How could this happen to me? You literally requested it. You literally did it for yourself. In fact, you funded it yourself. This is on you. There's no sympathy for any of them. This entire crisis is on their back. It's either on New York City's back or it's on the Democrat Party, which is basically in line with New York City. It's the same damn thing. It's the exact same entity. So why would Texas have to absorb all the consequences when all these illegal migrants are responding to Democrat calls to illegally immigrate? And most of them are asking to go to New York City. How is it Texas's responsibility? Obviously, that makes no sense. And we're hitting record levels now. Let's just put that into perspective.
That the total number of migrant encounters this fiscal year 2023 have surpassed last year's record-breaking numbers. Take a look here. You see so far this fiscal year, and there's 8 days left in this fiscal year, 2,388,350 plus.
And the last couple of days, we've had in excess of 5,000 people cross from Piedras Negras, Mexico, into Eagle Pass, Texas. It's become a big concern for the community, and it's just an emergency situation.
The mayor of a Texas border city is pleading for help as the members and the numbers of migrant crossings have increased significantly. A source tells CNN nearly 3,000 migrants crossed near the city of Eagle Pass, Texas in just one day.
Yeah, that's a Democrat-made problem, which even Democrat Texas Mayor Rolando Salinas can admit. Democrat Texas Mayor slams Biden for silence on border crisis. Quote, "We're here abandoned." He also said this.
Does the president bear some of the responsibility for the crisis in your city?
I'll be honest with you, I believe 100% he does bear some responsibility.
That, yeah, Biden does bear some responsibility. I'd argue most of the responsibility. And again, really to put that into perspective, you know, it's really the messaging issue. Kathy Hochul, I think at one point alluded to it. Well, it's not like you guys are doing anything to fix any issues on that front, because apparently this is the legislative solution that the Biden administration is working on to pass through Congress to supposedly solve this illegal migration crisis.
First, we put in place policies that process people in a fair and fast way. Second, we're significantly expanding legal pathways for entry so businesses can get the workers they need. Families don't have to wait for a decade to be together. I've also directed my team to make a historic increase in the number of refugees admitted from Latin America. Third, we're supporting states and cities that have seen a surge in immigrants. And we're accelerating the process for work permit applications. Right now, most migrants have to wait 6 months after filing a claim before they can go to work. Only Congress can change that.
All right, so more White House messaging, more rhetoric, more policy messaging, further incentivizing illegal immigration, fast-tracking the process at the U.S. border. Let's process more millions of illegal migrants, expanding legal pathways for citizenship. That's like the only thing that even makes a little bit of sense. Increase the total number of refugees. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That's going to make the problem worse. Send money to help sanctuary cities. That's one of the most moronic things I've ever heard. And speeding up work permits for illegals. Who is buying this stuff? I mean, seriously. If any law even remotely close to that passes through Congress, Republicans are going to have voted yes on it, and it will be one of the single most destructive pieces of legislation ever passed through Congress. You know, I don't understand people who are buying onto this nonsense. I don't understand how Democrats get away with this level of policy incompetence. Finally, we're starting to see at least a little bit of a shift in the numbers.
How much is this issue hurting President Biden then and Democrats?
Yeah, you know, who do you trust more? Who do you agree with more on immigration? You go back to the beginning of last year, Democrats held a 1-point margin on that issue. Now you look at it, Republicans hold a 10-point margin.
You know, that plus 10 Republican public sentiment should honestly be plus at least 90. I have no patience for Democrats on this issue. They 100% did it to themselves. Honestly, the only thing I'm going to say to finish off is that Texas Governor Greg Abbott is doing an absolutely stellar job in exposing these absolute lying, incompetent fools. The moment the floodgates opened, problems started to pour in Democrat cities where it belongs. It didn't take too long to turn around now, did it? All of a sudden, we have Kathy Hochul sounding like Donald Trump. If that doesn't expose the insane hypocrisy of the left, then what does? Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know, we'd love to have you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.